Ladies and gentlemen, please notice that exits are conveniently located at the front and rear of this auditorium. When leaving the theater, we suggest that the exit at the front of the auditorium will allow you easier access to the parking areas. Thank you.
We've just lost 90% of our young audience out there. Who's Susan Lucci? I don't know why they're an old lady voice, but anyways.
And he'd be like, yeah, exactly.
You can all you want. Agree to disagree.
Disney fight.
See, two dudes talking about Disney. Oh,
so many viewers. We just lost so many. Hello, I'm Mike Butler.
and I'm Mike Field.
And you are listening to the Forgotten Cinema Podcast. Each episode, we highlight a film that, for a variety of reasons, was forgotten by audiences. Whether it be because a more popular movie was released at the same time, or the film simply didn't catch on with an audience in its initial run. We'll discuss what we love about the movie, or perhaps don't love about it, but we'll always recommend you revisit it. If you enjoy our podcast, please feel free to rate, review, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts or wherever you're listening to this podcast.
Well, hello. Welcome to episode number 5 of season 4. Wow, I can't believe I remember that off the top of my head. I'm pretty impressed. We are traveling back 20 years. I can't believe this movie's 20 years old. So Friday, October 27th, 2000. Well, that is the release date I have. That's actually, I believe, the release date where it went wide, or its biggest release date, because it does have a limited release date of October 6th. But that was just New York and LA, so I can't really vouch for that in terms of anyone seeing it. Of course, I'm talking about the ever popular independent movie, Two Family House. Nobody knows what I'm talking about.
This is the second movie I think we've done, other than we did The Conversation, which I had never heard of.
Right.
And then I did Two Family House, which I've never heard.
Wow.
This is the second movie I've never actually even heard of.
Part of this podcast is me educating you on movies that you've never heard of.
This is true.
We should probably should be a separate segment in terms of like when we have Forgotten Cinema Fight Club, Forgotten Cinema Butler Never Heard of These.
Well, there's not that many on the list that I've never even heard
It's
of.
true.
This is one of them.
You are well versed, which so anyways, back to Two Family House. Two Family House is a runtime of 108 minutes. It's rated R, has a production budget of I don't know because I could not find it. That's how independent this is. Its opening weekend, it took in $137,000. Now that is, like I said, the 27th date, as I said before, October 27th, 2000.
I thought you were going to say $137. I thought you were just going to end with the 137.
Its domestic take was 1 million, and so was its worldwide. So obviously it didn't go international. Obviously, I wonder if this was a hit, because if you don't get the production budget, that usually means it's under 500. Usually, like the big joke, or not the big joke, but I remember going to a festival in Nashville, the Films Festival, where I met actually a bunch of people I'm still friendly with, really good people. And when people would ask, hey, how much did you, a lot of movies are independent.
Right.
And I remember one of the producers from the movie, you just say under 5, you just say under 500, you just say under 500. And if my voice sounds like I don't like this person, I did not like this person, because she was just, I didn't like her.
She might be listening, man.
I don't care. She's not listening. And that she was not one of the people that I became friends with on this festival. So to anyone that is listening to this podcast and you remember meeting me at Films Fest, how you doing? All right. Anyways. So I'm pretty sure if it made $1 million, I'm wondering if it made some of its money back. It must have. Regardless. All right. So this movie is directed by Raymond D. Felitta. Felitta.
You want me to try to say it?
Say it. Felitta? Dave Felitta.
Yeah.
Okay.
Felitta.
He wrote and directed this. He also did a movie called City Island, which I like quite a bit, with Andy Garcia.
I've seen City Island.
That's a very good movie. Takes place in Staten Island, just like Two Family House. He directed The Thing About My Folks, which was written by Paul Reiser, and he has a new movie that came out last year called Bottom of the Ninth, with Joe Manganiello and Sofia Varga. Is that her name?
Yes.
No.
He also did the Madoff miniseries.
Did he?
He directed it.
I did not know that.
Yeah. Nice.
The miniseries that's on the one with De Niro? No, that was Levinson. You talking about the one with De Niro?
No. There's
Okay.
one with Richard Dreyfuss.
Oh, okay. I remember. I didn't see it, but I know what you're talking about. Okay. He also wrote Cafe Society, which was in the 90s. I don't know if you've ever seen that.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. And he wrote Shadow of Doubt. Music by Steven Endelman. He's responsible for a bunch of stuff, but just the ones that popped out: Jawbreaker, The Lovely, and Flirting with Disaster. Have you ever seen Flirting with Disaster?
No.
With Ben Stiller? That might actually be a good one for us too. That's actually pretty funny.
I've also only seen parts of Jawbreaker, but I'm pretty sure you said you like Jawbreaker.
Jawbreaker is quintessential 90s. It's not. It's kind of like when not Mean Girls. Mean Girls was later. Anyways, it's it is. It's not like it's like a teen movie, but it's really dark.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Because obviously somebody dies from choking on a jawbreaker.
Yeah.
That's why
I remember
Jawbreaker.
I've seen parts of the movie on like movie channels and stuff, and then I stopped watching it because I was like, this is pretty good, and I don't want to watch it.
It's an acquired. Yeah. It's definitely a movie where if you go in not knowing what it's about, you might be turned off by it.
Right.
But if you know what you're getting into, you're all about it. It's good. Cinematography with Michael Mayers. He did Spanking the Monkey and Class of Nukem High. Do you ever see Spanking the Monkey? You've never seen that?
No.
That's actually a good one too. That is with Jeremy. Who's the guy in the Apone character in Saving Private Ryan? Jeremy Davies, right?
Yes.
So Jeremy Davies plays a guy. His mother breaks her leg, and he has to take care of her over the summer, and he ends up sleeping with her.
Right.
And it's a comedy. Produced by Ann Harrison and Al Klingenstein. Ann Harrison did The Danish Girl, Leave No Trace. Don't cough when I'm doing stuff,
sorry.
Butler. And Al Klingenstein is responsible for Trumbo. They are also responsible for other movies, but these are the movies that, like I said, I just kind of
you didn't mention Michael Mayer's greatest accomplishment.
Oh, go ahead, go.
He was a cinematographer on Street Fighter: The Legend of Chun Li.
You're correct. I didn't. I didn't mention that. This movie stars Michael Rispoli. He plays Buddy Vassallo. Kelly MacDonald as Mary O'Neary. Catherine Narducci as Estelle Vassallo. Kevin Conway as Jim O'Neary. Matt Servito plays Chipmunk. I'm going to be honest with you. I didn't even know his name was Chipmunk until I looked at the credits.
I didn't know his name was Chipmunk till toward the end, and he calls him Chipmunk.
I didn't
Right.
even catch that. Michelle Santapietro as Laura and Vincent Pastore as Angelo. Now, all these people, with the exception of Kevin Conway and Kelly MacDonald, are in The Sopranos. Most of the people in this movie are in The Sopranos. They pop up. Some are in big roles. Michael Rispoli plays Jackie Aprile Sr. at the beginning, and he's the one that dies. He's dying of cancer in the first season. So clearly this is a New York-based talent pool, which is why they were in The Sopranos, because that was shot in Jersey pretty much. If you do not know where some of these people are from, Michael Rispoli is from While You Were Sleeping. He plays the neighbor that likes the Sandra Bullock character. And
I didn't even realize. Okay.
Yeah. When he does the lean in, he says that, notice he's doing the lean. He's also in Kick-Ass and Invincible. Kelly MacDonald is a Scottish actress. Yes, because she plays Merida in Brave. She's also Nanny McPhee in No Country for Old Men. Her first movie is Trainspotting. I think her father produced Trainspotting. I think he was a producer on that, which is really odd because in Trainspotting, when you see her, she's naked. And she's like, 18 or 17 or something like that.
She's also in Trainspotting 2, I read.
She is,
which
yeah.
I still have to see.
I haven't seen that either. That kind of bothers me.
It's got to be available somewhere for streaming by now.
I'm sure you can, illegally get it, but that's not what we do here. Catherine Narducci was in The Irishman and A Bronx Tale. Kevin Conway, you might remember as he was also in Invincible, but he played Mark Wahlberg's dad in that.
Mm-hmm.
He's in 13 Days, Mystic River, Slaughterhouse 5, the old Slaughterhouse 5. Matt Servito played Chipmunks Enchanted, Going the Distance, and Hitch. And that's it. I'm done doing those. So, well, I mean, I obviously said Vincent Pastore. He played Big Pussy in Sopranos.
Yes.
Everyone knows him there. So, like I said, this came out the 27th of October, 2000. The same day, the week before, you had Bedazzled, Pay It Forward, and The Yards. The day of, the 27th, it went up against Blair Witch 2, Book of Shadows, Lucky Numbers, and The Little Vampire, starring Jonathan Lipnicki. Another and then November 3rd, the week after, you had Charlie's Angels, the Drew Barrymore, Charlie's Angels, and The Legend of Bagger Vance. So kind of a weird mixed jumble of movies that this movie popped up in. And I'm going to tell you right now, this movie is so independent that people that went to go see the movies I just listed,
It's not competition.
had no idea about Two Family House. And that's pretty much it. That's pretty much all I got for the nuts and bolts. This is going to be a fact light movie. Simply because it is so indie that there aren't a lot of facts you can find online unless you actually know anybody personally that worked on this movie and you could talk to them. I mean, I wish I did. I, in fact, really like this movie, and I really like this movie again watching it. And this was Butler's first time watching it. So, of course, I'm going to ask him, what'd you think?
It's a mess. This movie's a mess. Why'd you make... I'm just kidding. This movie's really good. It's touching and... It's funny it's not really a comedy. It's a drama, but its subject matter could have been dealt with really heavy-handed and really heavy or really schmaltzy or really dark, and it was really kind of handled in like a lighthearted, nice way.
Sure.
It's a nice movie.
Well, before we go forward, let me just tell you what the movie's about.
Oh, come on. Let's go.
So I'm going to give you the synopsis. That's a random synopsis online, and I'll try to fill it in as we go forward. Frustrated factory worker Buddy Vassallo, Michael Rispoli, as I said before, once had a shot at the big time, but now finds his dreams have been reduced to a number of failed money-making schemes. Basically, Buddy was in the war. He was singing, and so a record guy saw him. He's like, "Hey, listen, after the war, come see me." So after the war ended, he was going to go see him, but he was with this Catherine Narducci at the time, who played what's her name in this movie? When the show, I said her name.
We should say by war we mean World War II. This movie takes place in the late 50s.
It takes place in 1956.
Yeah.
I apologize. I should know better. His wife Estelle. So when he gets back from the war, Estelle doesn't want him to do it. She's like, "What are you going to do? You're going to go make a fool of yourself. Don't do it." So he doesn't do it. So and he's always regretted that. His money-making schemes, he tries to be a pizza delivery guy, a limo guy. He's just trying to work. He basically wants to work for himself. He's working at a factory now, and he's just kind of wasting the day away, always trying to look for a way to kind of do something else. His latest plan is to buy a 2-family house and convert the ground floor into a bar where he can perform, and serve drinks, be his own boss, and live upstairs with Estelle. All seems to go as planned until he must deal with the tenants upstairs. So as they buy the house, they don't realize that there's people living upstairs. They totally have to vacate, but they won't leave. And that's where the character of Mary O'Neary, Kelly MacDonald, she is pregnant, and her abusive husband, Kevin Conway, he's a drunk and he won't leave. And that's pretty much where they are at the standstill. So what ends up happening is she goes into labor as they're trying to kick him out, and she ends up having a baby, and the baby is black. Baby is obviously half white, half black. And Kevin Conway, the husband, just gets up and just leaves, and you never see him again. He just walks away. Walks away. So Buddy in this movie is a good guy.
Yes.
He is not surrounded by. He's surrounded. I don't want to say that these guys are bad guys, his friends, but they're guys that aren't. They're not leaders. They're not strong guys. You know what I mean? They're not people that are. They're not bad guys, but they're not necessarily a good guy like Buddy is. I guess is probably the
right.
best
I mean, they've got their 1950s views, and they're kind of
Italian.
They're
all Italian.
They're all Italian. Yeah.
And even the neighborhood that he moved to, the 2-family house that they bought. One of the guys, Vincent Pastore, who plays the bartender, says, "What are you going to live in this Mick neighborhood?" Which is like a slang for Irish. Yeah. And there's a lot of that. There's a lot of that language in the movie. Not so much. Not as bad. I mean, yes, the N-word is brought up a couple of times, and they do make once they find out that she did have a baby, and obviously the father was black, that there are comments that are made. And it's funny is like when I'm watching the movie, I'm trying to see how Buddy relates to any of those comments. And it's like he's not like making them, but he's not. And it's almost like when you're with your group of friends and they say something you don't think is that funny, but you don't really want to. You just kind of like want to ignore it. Yeah. It's kind of like that. So but you do get the sense that he doesn't feel the same way as they do,
right?
And whatnot. So he feels bad that basically they want to kick her out. Still, she goes to stay at a. I guess what is it? A motel, but it's like a motel that's known for having hookers that stay there and use it. So he pays for her to live in an apartment. He doesn't tell anybody. And the eventual happens where he ends up falling in love with her, and they have feelings for each other. There's a lot to unpack, I guess, and I hate using that term now, but there's a lot to do there. So again, you liked it. You talked about how it was sweet, but it wasn't too sweet. That was what you were saying before, right?
It's not overly schmaltzy.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not like super dramatic like some movies would make the subject matter or something like that.
Well,
it's kind of in between.
Right. I took it also with the way the music was. It felt like a fairy tale almost, like I was being told this fairy tale story because it's told from the viewpoint of, or the narrator is the baby. It's the adult version of the baby, which clearly is Frank Whaley, who's who they don't give him he's uncredited, but it's him.
I didn't really like that part. I mean, I like that it's narrated, but I didn't like that. Throughout the movie, there are a couple moments where he goes, and this was my first memory, and I remember this. And it's like, you're like 4 months old, dude. No, you don't.
Well, I think that this movie's also based on the uncle of the director. Like it's based on his story.
Sure.
So I'm wondering if that's where that narrator element comes in, why you do it like that.
I'm okay with the narrator like
Mhm.
telling us the story of how his parents met because, well, spoiler, they fall in love and
I just said
have
it.
a kid. I don't like that when you have the baby's memories and like he says he remembers it. He's like, I know a lot of people don't think babies remember things. It's like, no, they don't.
No, I don't remember things. But this movie was 20 years ago. Maybe that technology we didn't know.
But yeah, I did really like the movie. I also liked how you have Italian Americans from New York in the mid 50s, and no, they're not mobbed up. You know,
Staten Island,
yeah. It's every movie they got to have somebody who's like some wise guy in the mob and stuff like that. And it's like we mentioned before we started this, like I've got Italian family. You've got Italian family. It's like not everybody's mobbed up.
True.
I mean, well, maybe, but
there are but I mean, but there's always one person in your family that's like,
oh yeah,
you're like,
know.
oh, that guy, oh yeah, no, he knows somebody. Like either it usually is.
Yeah, it's nice to have like a group where they're not one of them is. I mean, although they do kind of mob themselves up when they go to kick out.
Well, yeah, well, it's that mob mentality, but it's that kind of like the people you know,
right?
And one of the aspects of this movie that really I liked a lot is the ending. And the realization that, and maybe this is my one way of me to counter against your narrator aspect, because the narrator is how it gets brought up, where he talks about how he never realized that his prison was his friends were his jailers.
Right. Yeah, I like that line.
Right. So what ends up happening at the end is for a week, Buddy and Mary get together. He's working like double shifts to pay for the bar, to pay back everything. And he's got like 3 hours, which I don't know how he's doing this, but he's got like 3 hours where he tells his wife that he has to work 6 to 6 and he doesn't have time to come home, but he goes, but it's not, he leaves at 3. He goes to Mary's apartment and is with her. And she finds out that, about the hours that are not the same, that what she was told. She follows him. She finds out, she says she wants to break up with him. That's it. He's trying to get back together with her. She says, let's meet at the diner. It's this local diner. It's kind of a neutral place. As soon as he walks in, everybody is there. All his friends are there.
Right.
Their wives are there. Her parents are there. Estelle's parents, his wife's parents are there. And they're all like giving him like all these looks, and he's walking down towards her and he tells her, basically he's fallen in love with this other woman because this other woman believes in him. Estelle is somebody in this movie doesn't really, she's passive aggressive, but she just chips away at his.
Oh yeah, it still sucks.
Yeah, she's not. She is the definition of not supportive, and it's not that she's evil. It's not that she's mean. That she's just her character is not one note. It's because she's afraid of what everyone's gonna say. She's afraid of failure.
I mean, she's passive aggressive, but then she also, when she finds out that if Buddy, realizes if Buddy loses all his money, he can't build the bar. She purposely overspends to destroy Buddy's dream. She is an active participant in that at that point.
And she brags about it to her friends.
I have 2 notes back to back. One is Estelle sucks. And then the next one is Estelle really sucks. And I'm pretty sure I wrote that when she decided I'm going to spend all of Buddy's money.
Well, but how about the fact that when she tells him, you got to cut these dreams out. I want to get back together. And if you got to go, and you know how I don't like to have sex. If you got to go get it from somewhere,
I'm not a huge fan. Yeah,
it's like that's like, and then you immediately, Buddy's like, that's not what
this is about.
Right, right. And that's when he comes. He just doesn't want to be there. He wants to leave.
And Estelle's whole thing is she's okay with living in her bedroom. She's had like her childhood bedroom with her parents downstairs, only having sex when Perry Como comes on. For 30 minutes.
God, yeah, it's not
just no.
Yeah, and quite honestly, this is not probably something that's unknown to a lot of people. This is probably back in the 50s and even nowadays. This is what happens sometimes. People just don't want to change. They don't want to grow, and they don't want to. People don't support one another when they're in relationships. I don't know if I would be able to be with my wife if she wasn't supportive of what we did.
Well, no, exactly. That's this movie spoke. I'm probably the reason you like it because it speaks to, I think, us a lot, like people that have dreams and want to go out and do something.
Sure.
And, you try and they don't always work.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna make this movie. I'm gonna make this web series. I'm gonna write this. I'm gonna do this. It's totally gonna take off, and then it crashes and burns. But you still get up and try again. And to have somebody who doesn't Estelle's like nagging away at him is like, if my girlfriend did that to me every time I wanted to create something, you'd be like, no.
It would test whether you could be strong enough to be like, if you're just like, okay, you're right. or if you would just be like, I'm going to leave you. I'm sorry. Like, you know what I mean? Like
Right.
it's what kind of person are you? One who's going to take that or one that's going to move on from it?
It's not like they're newly married. He's been dealing with this for 11 years, putting up with this nagging and constantly being put down to the point where when he's talking to Mary, when he goes to get the toy gun after he has one of his fights with Estelle, he gets the toy gun, which is hilarious because he knocks on the door with the toy gun and Mary thinks he's coming to kill her. She kicks him out and obviously he breaks the window and she's like, why are you even here? And he just breaks down, just like he's at that point just completely shattered. And he starts bawling in the yard and saying, because I just need someone to talk to.
Yeah, he wants someone. He wants a support system,
Right.
And he doesn't get that with Estelle at all.
And she gets that right away with Mary. Like, you know, I'm sure one of your plans will work. It'll be fine. And like immediately they connect with each other.
One of the lines I like that she tells him when he says something to the effect of, "Oh, I don't know." I can't remember what she said. He says, but she tells him, "I find that hard to believe, Mr. Fasalo." When she says that to him, when he says, I can't remember what he says. It was in reference to like him being just one of the guys, or just.
Oh, I'm not. This is not.
Yeah.
Not how I usually am. You know, I'm not crying all the time. I'm not this sensitive.
Right. And she's like, "I find that hard to believe, Mr. Vassallo," which is right there. She sees what kind of person he is.
That he's not the same as everyone else.
And I think it goes to how good of a guy Buddy is that for 11 years, as you said, he lets Estelle just kind of, he thinks that she's going to come around. He's willing to work at this. He just thinks that this is what a marriage is. You know, it's give and take. And, you know, he doesn't see that she's like at the end, like they're the jailer. Like he doesn't see that these are the people that are in his way to build his dreams.
Yep.
And one of the other things I like is that his dream is not to write a movie, to make a web series, to write a book. It's not something creative. It's actual, I want to run a bar. I want to be my own boss. Just something like that.
Well, because he's downgraded it to just, if I can't be somebody, at least I'm going to be my own boss.
Well, I think it's relatable, but it's also something where it's not, when you have this type of story, a lot of times
it's almost always a creative.
But it's always something big. I'm going to be a big time star. I'm going to do this. It's like, he doesn't want to leave Staten Island. He loves where he is. You know what I mean? He loves where he lives. He just wants to run a bar. He wants to be his own boss. That's all he wants. It's a simple dream.
Yeah.
And it's an attainable dream.
And yet Estelle still puts him down for that.
Oh, I know. You want me to be a barmaid? It's like, ugh.
Like, get a job, Estelle.
Like I imagine, because they obviously at the end, he leaves Estelle, goes to Mary, they open the bar. You know, they tell you how the bar had a lot of slow nights, but you know.
Always enough to keep the lights on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I always wonder, like, what's Estelle doing this whole time as he's like right down the street, basically. He's in a different neighborhood. He's maybe like,
oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm sure Estelle ended up with one of Buddy's friends.
Okay. Chipmunk?
Well, Chipmunk's married. So it's got to be one of the other ones. But the other ones, not all of them were married.
Mm-hmm.
And she's probably living up in her parents' room again.
Yeah.
Someone's just okay with that.
Yeah.
And then her parents pass away, and then she inherits the house, and that's it. And then the cycle carries on from there.
Mm-hmm. But we were talking about that reference of, you know, how they had a lot of slow nights, and the reference that his friends were his own jailers. You don't get that if you don't have the narrator. I don't know how you do that, how you let people know that,
right?
What Buddy's thinking. No, I know you. I'm just saying. Yeah. It's just kind of like I'm not trying to say that to. I'm not trying to say this to change your mind.
Gotcha.
I'm just giving the counter argument for why you had that narrator in there. Yeah,
I don't mind. I like the narrator. I just didn't like the baby remembering stuff parts.
I know. I get.
I like him recounting the
that.
story. I just don't like whenever he says that he was there for it. It's like, yeah, you were, but you weren't.
Mm-hmm.
But I do like, and I like how he says, Buddy was his own boss until 1986 or 88.
Died in 88, and then she passed away
before. So
well, no,
the year before the story.
Yeah,
a year ago.
Yeah. Whenever, and the story takes place 2000, so I think you're supposed to assume 99. Yeah.
And now he's the owner and operator of Buddy's Tavern.
Right.
Owner, operator, manager, and bartender.
Yep. Absolutely.
So does he also now live above the bar?
I mean, that's a sweet gig. And you live above your go downstairs, open up.
Gotta get to work. Ugh.
I wonder if there are a lot of bars like that now. That's like a neighborhood bar. So I mean, that's very popular back then. But I wonder if you have a lot of that now.
I think that could stay open today if it was already open. But I think there are probably laws against opening something like that now. You would have to change it up or open in a different, like where I live, the city I live. There's a lot of bars with a lot of housing on top of them, but the downstairs is still like it's not a house. It's like Buddy's bar is a house.
Oh
It's
yeah,
got bars.
yeah, he just kind of like
converted it a little bit.
Well, I would imagine if you updated it now, you would just cut out the walls.
Right.
Yeah. So you probably just have to do some renovations and stuff like that. So you mentioned that, you thought you figured the reason why I like this movie. Did the same reason why I like this movie in terms of how it touched me? Did it affect you the same way?
Oh yeah, it's a lot of the things that affect Buddy affect me. Like I've written a ton of scripts and always try to get something filmed, and something always goes wrong. I always have these big dreams of like, all right, this script, I'm gonna get this, and obviously my girlfriend's supportive of me and she's not putting me down, but you try to do it and then
I'm just kidding.
And then it fails because people tell you no, or it's not gonna work, or no, you can't do that, or just people drop out. And you're like, all right, one that messed up too, and like Buddy's thing is like, just everything fails for me, blah blah blah. Like that affects me, and obviously him wanting to get his own place and being stuck at Estelle's is like, took me forever to get an apartment. And now I want to get out of the apartment and get something bigger as well.
Well, so it's a step.
Like, it's a step. Everything's a step. The podcast is a step, but the podcast is like our bar right now, I guess. Right. So it's like everything's
nice. Shit, we're buddies.
We're buddies. We're a bunch of buddies.
Hey,
which is why the movie affects us.
We just want someone to talk to.
I threw a gun through a window just yesterday.
All right. I don't know about any of that. Throwing guns through windows. I lost my train of thought. Well,
you're welcome.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I imagine that's what you're talking about in terms of affecting you, is just reaching for a dream and being able to achieve. I think that's what
I know what I'm going to say.
Helps the movie connect with everybody.
Well, one of the earliest and probably longest lessons that I had to learn was people being critical of your stuff, or people, just putting it down, whatever. Oh, I don't like that. That's about them. That's not about you. Somebody that, you know what I mean? Like if you write something, or if you put a film up there and someone, well, they trash it, but they just kind of like talk shit on it or something like that.
Right.
Why would you want to do that? That's stupid. Whatever. That's about them and their failed attempts at stuff. And that's about their insecurities and their fear. People talk about it all the time in terms of making movies and actors and actresses and just filmmakers. It's a family.
Right.
So if you see somebody who's doing something and you are friends with them and you know them, and it might not be great, but that doesn't mean you're going to be like, that's crap. You're like, oh, I like some stuff, but you should really you try to help them. You try to get, you know what I mean?
Right.
That's what that's about. When people are putting you down, that's just about their failed attempts and their bad, insecure ways. And you should never take that personally. That's something I had to learn a long time ago. It took me a while, but I had to learn that.
Well, that's something that Buddy, that's one of my favorite lines in the movie too, when Buddy and Estelle are fighting, and Estelle's like, they're going to make fun of us. Who's making fun of us? Your stupid friends? My stupid friends?
Yeah.
Who cares?
Yeah, exactly. That's in the opening scene of the movie when he's singing. Did you notice the name of like the booth? So it's like this like carnival thing. It's like a boardwalk.
Yeah. I didn't notice the name on it.
So he's singing in front of, and the name is like, want to be a singer? Screw him. Why not? Like, that's the name of the thing. And I was just like, that's the whole message of the movie. Because that's what he says during that when they're fighting.
Yeah.
He's like, screw him. Who cares? Like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And she just doesn't get that. She's too afraid.
Right.
I like the line when the narrator's talking about how they notice the baby's different. And he's like, I seem to have been made of darker material.
Despite being born of two parents.
I just thought that was funny.
That's a good line. The line right before that made me go, when they go, what's wrong? He looks kind of like dirty or something.
I know.
I was like, come on.
Because you couldn't. That's not something that's in your mindset when the baby comes out,
right? Because you're not there. Yeah. And I love. Some of the funny lines are really good. I love when she's talking about, my Uncle Louis always said, she keeps talking about Uncle Louis on their first night in the house, and he goes, "Oh, why don't we go to Uncle Louis's grave and ask him what to do?" And she goes, "We got to sell the house. But he goes, "Oh, maybe Uncle Louis will buy." Oh, and they're all mobbed up, ready to go kick McCreary out or whatever.
Right.
But he's like, "Let it be known that you will receive 2 of a possible 3 warnings."
The whole warning talk, yeah.
What time is it? Got 10 minutes? All right, 10 minutes. All right, 10 to 3. I got 5 minutes. All right, set your watch to mine. My watch works. But they just want to go up, and they're like, "Throw the fucking guy out." They're like yelling at him.
So when after that, because during that time, obviously they go up there and she goes into labor. She has the baby. We already talked about what happens. later on, maybe like he's at the bar and like this is like a couple of weeks have passed. She has moved out.
Right.
The life is getting on. He's trying to build the bar. You know, they're telling the story again. They're at the bar. Those guys are just telling the story. And he's like, I didn't say that. Like, and I just, the fact that like the way the story's being told and how it's being retold and mistold, it shows, I think, how Buddy is not their close friend. He's not someone they support and want to see be successful. He's just a character in the story and in their lives where he doesn't really matter as much.
Well, I would slightly disagree in terms of Chipmunk. Chipmunk supported him all the time. And he goes, why are you here? Why are you always helping me? Because you have dreams. And I appreciate that you have these dreams.
Yeah, but Chipmunk is, if Buddy
Chipmunk
says no.
still ends up making a choice at the end. And
Right.
He chooses.
Chipmunk's the anti-Buddy.
Right. Chipmunk chooses to stay with the other people.
Right.
But I think Chipmunk is a true friend of Buddy's up until Buddy makes that choice. And then Chipmunk makes his choice.
I wonder if they ever thought about having a scene where he's in the bar and because at the end it ends with them dancing and there's nobody in the bar. I wondered if they ever had a scene where they ever thought about showing the bar with people in there and showing that Chipmunk has come there. I wondered if like that relationship, that friendship would ever last. Like if he was just shut off completely from all his friends, all the friends that he once had, if they just completely shut him off forever. I
can't see it. You're in a close-knit community, and at some point, you know, before 1988, Chipmunk never ended up going back to Buddy as his best friend.
I wonder.
I mean, who knows? Although you do have that last scene where Buddy goes to invite them all to the bar, and Chipmunk stops, looks at Buddy like, and then starts joking with the friends again and makes his choice a second time.
Yeah.
Like Buddy gives him a second chance, and then obviously Big Pussy tells him fuck off.
Pretty much.
No, you know what? I'm going to be open Christmas Eve.
I know.
I'm like, oh, you ass. And he sends the drunk into the bar.
Yeah.
But I like that line when the drunk sits down, he didn't have any money. He still gives him the drink as his first customer. He goes, they said you'd serve anybody. And he goes, you know what? Yeah, I would serve.
St. James, right? I liked that the fact that he goes to that bar to tell everyone, hey, I'm opening on Christmas Eve, knowing what their answer is going to be already. I think that shows how good of a friend he is.
Right.
That he probably has an idea like, they're probably gonna all say no, probably laugh me out, but I'm gonna go anyways because they were my friends and I'm not turning my back on them. I wonder if that just shows that just Buddy's a stand-up guy in throughout this whole process. Even though yes, he cheated on his wife and yes, he whatever. The fact that he had infidelity in his marriage. That's on him to a point. I mean,
listen, it was 11 years. 11 years he didn't do anything like
know.
it. It's all right. He's allowed one.
But I think he's
I don't
still
actually
a stand-up
believe that,
guy.
baby. If you're listening, I don't actually believe that.
He does. He's shaking his head at me. No, that he does. He's telling me to be quiet right now. He's quiet. There's several women here. He brought them. I don't know who they are. Get out of my house.
Listen, I bought them all an apartment somewhere else where I can buy them different noodles and make pasta sauce.
Oh, well. Oh, nice.
Which I don't know if it's because it just never changed, but did the rigatoni packages just never change?
Ronzoni?
Ronzoni, yeah.
That's the brand name.
Is it like it's always been that exact style since the 50s, or did they just put the 80s boxes or the 2000s boxes?
No, that's classic.
No one's gonna notice.
That's classic.
All right.
Chianti?
Chianti.
He doesn't say that. The guy points like Chianti.
I like that. At first, he's a little annoyed, and then when she keeps coming back, and then at the end, he's like all happy about it.
The shop owner.
Yeah.
Isn't that shop great though? That shop's just like
I love when he's trying to buy when Buddy's trying to buy the place from him. He goes, "Yeah, I got the guy. He just needed a place to lie low, if you know what I mean." And Buddy's like, "Yeah, I think I do." Like, let's stop talking.
Well, I have one note about the look of it, even though it's an indie film and doesn't have a huge budget. Obviously you can't take as much risks in terms of probably lighting. Not that risks, but you don't have the tools needed.
Right.
Basic
lighting kit, and that's probably it.
But I still thought the night setups were nice. I thought the night scenes looked really nice in terms of lights in the background, just how they looked. I mean, I'm not gonna. Everything's evenly lit. I'm not gonna tell you that they were breaking the wheel here, but I thought it looked well, and maybe
feature.
Yeah, but I also thought that because it took place in the 50s and you have your set design and probably Staten Island.
I was gonna say Staten Island
probably pretty easy
to.
Yeah, but I think that helps any kind of what you're going to see on screen and what you're going to light on screen.
It's not a set. You can use all the old houses again. Although I did think that the house that Buddy Buys is very similar to Estelle's parents' house. Like, I almost wonder if Estelle's parents' house was filmed first,
doubled
and
up.
then they kind of messed it up to be like the messed up Tooth family.
But you could also buy that they build the same houses throughout the entire neighborhood.
Oh, I get it. They all kind of look the same for sure.
But that's fun, and I can appreciate that. And maybe if I watched it again and I was looking for modern styled homes and cars in the background, I probably would be able to find stuff like that. But I just wasn't in this.
You're too invested in the story, and
right.
they've got enough of that 50s going on in there that you're okay with it.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I really like this movie. I don't have any problems with any of this movie. I'm just trying to think of just in terms of the ensemble of the actors. I enjoy the New York feel of it. The Jersey, the Staten Island feel of it.
No, absolutely. Yep.
I enjoy just that it felt like a close knit community.
I enjoyed the fact that it's Italian Americans that aren't in the mob.
Well, I mean, I can relate to that.
Like that.
I can relate to a lot of the stuff, the Italian stuff, just because I've grown up around it with my grandparents, and my mother's side's Italian. So, a lot of the stuff that I saw on screen, a lot of the conversations that they're saying, the way they talk about it, it's just, I've heard it all. So it's in terms of kind of almost like a comfort meal kind of thing. So I definitely felt that watching it.
I did like when the adoption agent's gonna take the baby. Like you know the baby's not gonna end up with the adoption agent, but I just like that. Apparently she's giving up the baby and he's gonna be an experiment.
I saw that. Yeah,
I was like,
got a lovely
professors that are gonna like it. Well, actually, I had him at. I was married at the time. Oh, even better.
Yeah, that was like a social experiment kind of thing, right?
Yeah. And I was like, that's creepy.
Yeah, but he's got that awesome line when he goes and kind of talk to you outside, and obviously he wants to go be with her,
right?
And that's what she thinks, but clearly he wants both of them. He wants the family. And he's just like, who's the girl? Who's the broad? Right? He said broad, or he says woman.
He goes, where'd you find that broad?
Yeah.
Loser.
Yeah, that's a great line. That's a great moment too, because he wants all of them.
Right.
Yeah.
And she didn't think that she was going to be able to live her life and still have the baby, and now he's given her basically everything that she could have wanted.
Right.
And I like that there is a shot where the African goes, "Can I talk to you for a minute?" And they leave. They do a quick shot of the baby. It looks like the baby is giving that adoption agent like a hardcore side eye, and I just started laughing like that baby fucking hates you.
I don't want to go upstate.
I don't know if it was on purpose or not, or they just waited and goes, "I want that cut with that baby looking like that because that's perfect."
How about when Mary tells Buddy why were you with that guy, and she tells him the story why she was with the drunk, and he's my father's friend, and on my father's deathbed, he told me to go be with his friend, and she's 14 at the time, and it's like, it's now in today's day, you're like, come on, but back then that's normal,
right? Yep.
And that's just,
huge age discrepancy between.
What an asshole dad you have to be to do that. Give me a fucking break. I'm sorry, I don't mean to swear, but I mean, can you imagine? Can you imagine like you have a kid and then you're dying and you're like, go be with my friend? Why would you do that?
Well, here's the other thing. All right, so it happened. You've got this beautiful young lady that you didn't deserve or earn, and then you're gonna like beat her and treat her like shit.
Well, he's like, a drunk. He's an alcoholic.
No, dude, you just got a prize. Like, like she's way better than you. It's like, come on, man.
No, alcoholism is a sickness, my Butler. It's a disease. I'm not trying to be funny. It is.
He's dead now. So,
what, in the movie? Oh, vagrancy.
Sure he died.
No,
he said drank himself to death.
They said
saw him again.
Well, no, saw him again, but he was arrested for vagrancy, and then that was it.
Yeah, the next day he was arrested for vagrancy,
and then no one ever saw him again. Yeah, good. But her father, what a scum.
Yep.
That's just ugh.
My sister, when her sister sent her money to live, she's got like a rotten cantaloupe and like 5 potatoes. It's enough. No, it's not.
I'm going to get the Chianti line again. I'm sorry. Would this be a movie that you would recommend to somebody if they wanted to be a writer, a filmmaker, like, you know what I mean, an actor, like somebody in the business? I always view this movie as a movie that would be beneficial to somebody who wants to make films. Just the way it was put together, just how, little they had.
I think it's great for writing wise. Absolutely. Filmmaking wise, I mean, it doesn't, like you said, it doesn't break the wheel, but it does a lot with a little.
But it's a simple story, so it doesn't really have to.
Right. It's a simple story, and it's not done.
And I don't mean simple in a bad way.
Right.
I mean that in a good way.
It's an achievable story.
Absolutely.
For a filmmaker. It's got heart, it's got comedy, and it's something a little different, and it doesn't fall into, which I brought up a lot, why a lot of indie features for me kind of fall flat, is they try to go, and we've talked about it, they try to go overboard with, it's got to be so dark and depressing to be an indie feature, and it's like, here's my indie, or so out there and zany and be like an indie comedy where it's just, I don't find the comedy funny, and the whole point is, well, then you just don't get it.
That's a good point.
And this is not one of those movies. It's not super dark and depressing, but it's also like, you just don't get it funny. It's just a nice little story that has a lot to say with not a lot to have to unpack. It's just there.
It's a happy ending, but also I think maybe that'll lead to my next question, is why it was forgotten. It might be part of it. It's an indie, but it's not an indie like you said. It's not avant-garde. It's not breaking any kind of barriers. So
it didn't get picked up by all these, hoity-toity producers who then have to go, oh, that looks so good.
It wasn't
them to do a Marvel movie, because now it's like, you did such an avant-garde production. You want to do our samey production of Captain America 5?
It wasn't something that came out at Sundance that shocked the audience and that everyone was stumbling over themselves to get ahead of the game. I get that. It's not one of those movies. It's a simple story that tells a well-told tale. And it maybe because it was a feel-good movie, because it maybe people just couldn't relate to it, or wasn't, they walk out of the theater going, that was good, I like that, but they would, they weren't really blown away, because it's
also a period piece.
True. So that's probably all adds up. It doesn't have a big name actor, although Kelly MacDonald is, I think she's I guess she's not a huge name, but she's a really good actress, and she's been in a lot of stuff.
The other thing is it's Italian, and they're not in the mob. And I think that
you're really harping on that.
I like that it is that, like I said, but I just think that, when you see that and you go, oh, look at all these guys from like people that like The Sopranos. Like we've got a mutual friend who's all about that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm sure he'd look at it and go,
Two Family House? No, he might like it.
He might like some of the stuff, but I think overall he'd be like, yeah.
I think he would like it. I think we would like it.
I would hope so.
Yeah.
But I think you'd have to push him into it.
Oh, of course, I'd have to get him the movie and say like,
they're not in the mob.
Oh no, absolutely.
If they're not mobbed up, why do you want to watch it?
No, if I told him that this movie was good and I thought he would like it, I think he would like it. He would want to watch it.
Yeah.
He'll take my suggestions, but would he find it on his own? Probably not. No. But like that's the thing, that not other people are going to find this movie on their own, because quite frankly, it's tough to get.
Although,
I had to go.
It is available on Hulu, free to watch right now.
Okay, yeah, but when you watched it on Hulu, it was boxed, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that pissed me off. Where I rented it on Amazon. I bought it because I wanted the widescreen. That bothered me.
Wait, was it boxed?
No, it must have. I tried it on Prime and I tried it on Hulu, and it came 4.3, and I had to buy it. I had to rent it for $3.99 on Amazon Prime in order to get it to 16:9. It's a 185 movie.
Mine wasn't boxed.
Mine was.
Mine might have been stretched though. I don't know. It definitely wasn't boxed. Mine might have been stretched.
Okay.
But again, that might be a setting I've chosen a long time ago in my Hulu settings though. But I didn't know it's an indie feature, so I wasn't really looking at that going, is that stretched? Now I'm thinking it was probably stretched.
Yeah. Man.
But
that bothered me. It's 185. It's fine, but it still bothered me.
It's an indie feature.
Don't offer the movie if you can't offer it the full aspect ratio.
The point is, this is a great movie and it's available for free to watch.
Absolutely.
So, unlike some of our
and Prime, Hulu and Prime.
It is free on Prime.
Yeah,
as well?
that's where I got to. Yeah.
Okay, so I mean, a lot of our movies like this are very hard to find, like Star Chamber. Like the Conversation was free. There was something else.
Red Rock West.
Strange Days are impossible to find now.
Right.
This movie is free to watch. It's a movie that would normally be hard to find, and it's a movie that
Near Dark
needs to be seen.
Sorry,
yeah, Near Dark was hard to find, which was surprising.
Yeah, you had to borrow my DVD.
I did.
Yeah.
That was surprising as well. But
did I have a DVD?
That it wasn't a fucking Blu-ray.
Come on, all right, come on. We're not all hoity-toity like you.
Oh, you're just talking about aspect ratios. All I want is a clear picture.
Listen, if I'm a filmmaker and I do a movie in a certain aspect ratio, I don't want to see it in any other aspect ratio other than the one I've done it in.
But I definitely checked this movie out. It is a surprisingly good movie that doesn't fall into a lot of the pitfalls of what a movie like this could have fallen into.
Oh yeah, but it's well written.
It's nice, well written, fun, short.
And I'd recommend you if you like this movie, or if you like what we're talking about, and then you watch, you're like, oh, I really like this movie. You should watch City Island too, because City Island is good too, and it's the same Same story. It's more about a family, but it's a good movie too. And the same director, same writer, and it's got a bunch of people in that. So absolutely, I would recommend City Island as well. Finally, I guess I'm going to say finally, did you notice the split diopter shot? I always bring them up when we see one. Did you notice it?
No.
So for those who may not know, because what other movies did I bring them up in?
We've brought it up a few times.
So the split diopter is when all the image is in focus, and you can't obviously do that. And with the regular camera in the lens, you need to split the image and put multiple image. You need to basically put multiple images in there. I've explained split diopter before. I don't really want to explain it. It's in the beginning when he is in the factory and he's working and his friend's behind him, and you see that little faded line squiggling down the middle. I'm like, split diopter. I don't know why I like to point them out. I just do. If you like Brian De Palma movies, he does it all the time. So split diopter. This has been your split diopter, brought to you by, I don't know. Brought to you by
sponsor here.
Brought to you by Target.
All right.
That's all I got.
That's all I got.
I mean, there weren't a lot of facts. I mean, I knew we were going to talk a lot about the story.
Don't make excuses.
I'm not making excuses. Cut all that. Cut my excuses out, Butler. So if you haven't had the chance to see Two Filming House, or if you like movies about Italian Americans that are not in the mob, as Butler seems to keep saying, then please check out this movie. We like it. That's why we did a podcast episode about it. And so I don't know. That's all I got, man.
All right. Then if you like Forgotten Cinema, please feel free to rate, review, and subscribe to this podcast wherever you listen to the podcast. We're available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, pretty much everywhere we can. If we're not somewhere, let us know. We'll get there.
and yeah, go ahead. I was just talking about our merch page. You usually do, but
go.
Well, we have some merch out now. We're selling some shirts and some leggings. Apparently, I haven't bought them. And more stuff's going to pop up on there as soon as our merch department gets on that. But you can get to that from our website. Butler said it again already, ForgottenCinemaPodcast.com. It's actually on the menu. It says merchandise. Click on it. It's going to take you to the store. It should take about 4 to 8 weeks for delivery. We're working on that. But yeah, so if you kind of want to do that, please feel free to be our walking billboard, as Mike likes to say. And you can also join us next week if you like, because we are going to be doing another movie that I really like that I know Mike already likes. We're going to do The Nice Guys. It's a movie that I wish they would do a sequel. I know that Shane Black went on to do The Predator, which was fine. I really wasn't in love with it.
I liked The Predator quite a bit. But again, it's the dialogue.
Watch it again. And then, but I hear you. But I really wish they would do a sequel to this movie. But they didn't. So we just have the one, which we both really like. So we're both going to talk about. It is.
I'm really excited about watching it again.
Ryan Gosling, Russell Crowe, The Nice Guys. Check it out before next week. And then you can hear us probably gush over it. Yeah, seriously. It's going to be one of those like, well, I like this. And then when he says that, then he says this.
Did you guys like that MacGruber episode? Because if you did,
that's pretty sad. We need to start doing episodes where we hate on each other and we're like yelling at each other.
Should I release the Sphere episode?
No, never. We should, but I don't know how. It's got to be a special. It's got a special event.
We brought it up before. Sphere was our first test episode we ever did. So we don't really want to release it. But in this episode, I had remembered loving this film, and Field slowly breaks me down into hating this movie.
I don't want to say I slowly break it down. I educate you on why you shouldn't like that
why
movie.
I should hate this movie.
Yeah, exactly. So
no, that is bad. Oh, that's bad too.
And thus, Forgotten Cinema was born. All right, guys. Thanks for listening. I'm Mike Field.
I'm Mike Butler.
And this has been Forgotten Cinema.
Fly me to the moon. Let me. That's all I got.
Do you not know the rest of the lyrics?
I
play amongst the stars.
I've watched way too many Ren and Stimpy, so I know. Come fry with I know like
fry with me.
Come fry, let's fry an egg. That's what I know.
It's pathetic.